Recording, right. Steve from Conductify. We've done many videos before, so we're gonna talk about flipping heck, falling back into the seas. So we've been talking, Steve, and you've got some great things to understand because we're at Solar. I was going to say Solar Storage Live. It's not actually. It's into solar in Germany. So it's fine. It'll pick up. It's fine. So you say my microphone, but my voice is loud enough, so it will pick me up fine. So we're into solar in Germany. It's totally non-rehearsed. So I'm going to do something the other way around. I'm going to actually sort of interview Steve. I'm going to ask some questions. And the main question is, Steve, what is the difference between our AI and, say, other people's AI?
So the difference is that it's been designed to be gridless as its goal, and what that really means is trying to make the most use of your on-site renewable energy and your storage capacity to minimise the amount of grid that you use. It does go after chasing the rates, but it's the quantity, minimising the grid, that's really key.
So a lot of these other AI, so-called AI, they just look at the grid rates and they just adjust accordingly.
Yeah, so they can be more real time. They can be more rate chasing. So they're very much dependent on whatever the grid wants to offer in terms of time of use tariffs.
Yeah. So R1 doesn't require that.
It leverages that because that's another way that you can make increased savings. But the real differentiator is if you can minimise the amount of grid you need to make sure you've got reliable energy the next day.
So one thing I'm going to mention is Steve's day job. He's actually is it a patent attorney?
Well, so I'm a lawyer. Yes, I'm not a patent attorney, but yeah, for my sins,
You're a lawyer.
Yeah.
And it's not Sunsee's technology. We partnered with these guys, and you've got a number of patents on the technology.
We have. I mean, it comes because we started early. I think nearly 10 years ago. So we've got granted patents, not just pending.
So this is something that's very important to us. So, at the moment we're just about to launch and stuff, but, the IP part of it, of course, at some point, you're a lawyer, you're going to be thinking, oh my goodness me, there's lots of people going to be infringing. I'm sure you're going to be looking.
Yeah, I mean, it's just good to know that you've got that solid foundation and you've got the options about how you sort of exploit that
so
IP.
It's really important because if you're the first in doing something, and then we're doing this video, and I'm sure lots of people look at it thinking, oh well, it's a good idea, and we should be copying it. Well, we thought of this, and well, I didn't think of it, Steve. And in fact, I won't even say your partner.
Rob is the technical genius.
Rob is an amazing guy. He's absolutely amazing. I didn't actually interview Rob. Steve was. The reason why is because he goes very, very technical, and he'll start talking about lines of code and everything. And I'm not a coder. I'm not an IT guy. I'm an electrical engineer. So I'm not a coder. So at the moment, I've actually got your system on my own house at the moment.
Yep.
And I've noticed year on year on, the difference is massive.
It is, and it's back to that quantity point because instead of buying grid at a cheap rate the night before that actually you didn't need, because we predict, we're able to see what we think is going to happen tomorrow. We're getting high accuracy, 95% accuracy prediction, and that's down to Rob's genius and the technology. And that really, really accurate detail then allows us to plan ahead and minimise the amount of grid.
So the system really works. We're here now. We're at the Intersolar, and every other stand says, "Oh, I've got AI. I've got AI. I've got AI." Sort of self-learning algorithm, but we wonder how self-learning it is because we don't believe anybody's got what we've got.
So I think if you're looking at the AI, challenge them, say, what is your accuracy? How accurate is your prediction when you measure what happens tomorrow? And then ask them to say, how much does it actually save in terms of the amount of grid that you avoided using? And that's a very different question to how much did I save on the rates? We do the rates as well, but that's on top of minimising the grid.
So I'm just using I'm using my own house, and I've got my own usage year on, and I actually I've got time of use setting, which is the rates before we link to that, but now we're using the AI, it's the Conductify system. We're using the Conductify system, which is we're working exclusively with Sunsync. And what I'm seeing on my own house is absolutely, we had an interview about 6 months ago, before we started the beta trials, and you say, "Oh, you can save a certain amount." I say, "Okay, yes, really good," but some people think tongue in cheek, "Do you really save the money?" And I can say, using on my own house, yeah, it does. It works.
I can give you some numbers. I mean, with the beta trial, so in the UK, and it's in the winter and the spring, so the least optimal period for solar. Although we've had a couple of great months, right, record months in the UK, we're seeing around between 4 and 8 times return on the investment for the taking out an AI subscription. And of course, we expect that will improve as you get the longer days through the summer.
So if we're using the system, so in South Africa, for example, so Rob is South African.
Yes.
And so his heart was to get it in South Africa first, but he's done the integration in South Africa. Is it?
Yes. Yes, it is, and it integrates with ESKOM. So it will pull down the load shedding details for tomorrow. So again, as part of the planning, we make sure we take the minimum amount of grid at the best time, which is when the grid's on, firstly, and then at the best price when you've got time of use tariffs.
So what we've done at SunSync is we've got sort of our products are not the most prettiest. People got these pretty products, and some people say, "I've got an inverter that can correct the phase rotation." Really amazing, because when you get bypass, you can have motor go phase. And other people say, "Well, if you put your CT coil in backwards, it will correct it," but you don't. Sometimes it's not always possible, because sometimes you can put it in backwards if you're already exporting. You don't know whether it's backwards or front. So you've got all these pretty things with these gizmos, gadgets on it. But for actual practical terms, people say it's all about money. It's about saving money, because that's where you're putting a solar system in.
Yeah.
And and you make the initial investment, but then you put on top of the initial investment, you put the Conductify system onto it. It's running on the SunSync Connect Pro.
Yeah, so it does everything all at once. And by that I mean that it's effortless. You don't have to be looking at the weather and thinking about how do I change my settings. The AI learns for your site, and then it predicts for the next day, automatically changes your settings, and then by doing that, it's giving you reliable energy throughout the next day, it's saving you money, and it's making you more independent of the grid. So you're good.
So if people are interested to go onto the beta trials,
yes.
Who do they contact?
So there's a link that we posted on LinkedIn, which we could repost with this one. Yeah. And then there's a simple form process to register, and then you can download the new Connect Pro app.
And they can do, so if you want to go to the beta trials, anybody can do it. It's a SunSync Connect Pro. It's different to the SunSync Connect, so it's a completely different platform.
Yep.
So that's something that people can use. And when do you think this will be sort of publicly available? When we get the masses can use it?
Yeah. So I think within the next month or two, what we're doing is we're making sure that it's scaling as we add the beta users. I mean, obviously, we want to make sure that this being a brand new platform is going to be super solid, and then fix a lot of those challenges.
So we're also doing the CNI version.
Yep.
The CNI version is going to be awesome. I say people know us with CNI, and everyone say, "Oh, but I can make cheaper. I can make cheaper." The savings on software, and if you get the software right, the savings are so huge.
And this is where the quantity point that we've been talking about comes into its own. If you've got an indicator and a megawatt, and you save 25-40% of the grid energy, assuming you're using it in that environment where you're running local loads, it's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
So this is it's got to be. So So other questions then. We're obviously as a company, SunSync, we operate in many different jurisdictions. So in the EU, when for the EU version, can that go live now? Or
So I think that's coming. So we're going to get the UK and the South Africa launch in. Focus on doing that well. But we are finishing the development of the EU version. So we're integrating with rates around Europe.
So if you haven't got a rate card in a particular country, will it still function?
Yes. I mean, it'll just pick whatever is your tariff, because you enter your supplier and then whichever tariff you're on for your region, and then the AI every day just takes that tariff.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if we're looking, say for example, we have, and I know one person will be watching this from Israel.
Oh yeah,
and
I don't know who you're talking about.
We don't know who we're talking about, but he calls me a lot, and he will say, "Well, we won't work in Israel." But will it work in Israel?
In principle, yes. So I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't. So we'll have to talk to whoever that person is, and then make sure that we've got the right design.
And so other countries like say Pakistan.
Yeah, I mean, it's designed to work anywhere.
So my question is, if you haven't got a rate card, it will still give you the savings.
So it'll give you a level of savings because it's going to predict, what grid you need tomorrow to balance, but also predict if you have a great day and you've got a surplus that you can't use your store, it'll sell that back as well.
So you can put things like parameters. So if you're not on a variable tariff, you can put your static rate tariff
Correct.
in.
Yeah.
And it could be the same tariff all the time. You might have an export bit. You might not have an export bit.
Exactly. So you get a full, you get a benefit from reducing the grid quantity, even if you're on a flat rate. And that's a big differentiator. If you're rate chasing only, then you're going to get no benefit from the AI in that respect.
So a lot of these systems are basically as you call it, rate chasing.
Yeah, real time. So, in many cases, the rate chasing or somewhat static, not adapting to what the predicted conditions are tomorrow. Yeah. So the difficulty is it's so systemic and so complex on each individual site. That's why you need very strong end-to-end AI that's capable of handling all of that. And there are people doing point solutions, and they sound great, but you really do need that complete vision and complete system.
So this you're hearing it here, the horse's mouth. It's really, and I want to do this video because Steve's been talking to me about it and saying, I'm actually using Steve's microphone because I forgot my wire.
Blessed by Keith.
Yeah, blessed by me. So I'm sure you're going to do loads more. We're going back to the UK on Monday, so we'll probably release another video. Maybe we'll do something with Steve, a little bit more technical and showing a bit more in depth. And the reason we are releasing this is because the patents are granted, and we're going to the US soon. This is going to, in the United States. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah,
this is going to be so amazing in the United States.
I mean, I think it's very disruptive. If we look out and think about the long-term vision, I mean, once you can see what's going to happen at each site tomorrow and quantify whether they're going to have too much or too little energy, and then directly control the time when that energy is taken, it's a game changer for the grid or retail suppliers. I mean, they frankly won't need to do time of use tariffs in the same way because they can have a direct control.
So this is all about money. So some people might say, "Well, I don't believe it. I don't believe it." But I'm a little bit. People think I'm optimistic because I'm very sort of extra. But in reality, I've actually seen it work, and it really, really works. And I've got it on my own property, and I'm looking at it saying, I've got no electricity bill this month.
And actually, it can go the other way. It can become like a cash machine if you've got the right
can generate cash.
system.
If you get a set payback, you might get payback certain times. And you're absolutely correct. You suddenly got your solar system becomes a cash register.
Yeah,
and it's ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
What's not to like about that?
So this is something. So when you're considering, people say AI, you say, well, hold on, how much do you make back? What do you say?
So we're seeing 4 to 8 times the investment for a monthly subscription. I think the other way we measure it is how many days in the month did we make you gridless? So not meeting all your energy needs without using the grid. And I think there were good months, but I think most of last month, Keith, you were gridless.
Yeah, it was actually. It's great. My wife's got in the UK. She drives an electric vehicle.
Right.
She's got an EV car. And I think it was gridless, even fueling the car. She's driving for nothing.
Well, and that's the beauty. And then with the intelligence, you can know, is it worth investing in another battery? Because it will quantify, if you had a battery, how much you could save extra. So it's just a great business case as well.
Well, my wife Sue, she's thinking, oh my God, having spending before, because she takes our grandchildren to school, and she's always doing the school run, the grandma school run or whatever, and she, and she was sort of having to fill the car up sort of maybe once a week, and she's putting £50 a week into it. Suddenly, that's £200 a month gone. People, it's not just about the electricity in the house. It's about free running of a vehicle.
I don't want to say too much about the other things we've been talking about, but this is just the start. Managing your charge and discharge your battery is the first step on the sort of supply side. But the AI will take those predictions and work in the load side. And then it gets really exciting because you can start moving energy around, prioritizing things, just an intelligent kind of load management system.
So you should, if you're watching this, you should be talking to us, get onto the beta testing, go through the journey, enjoy the journey with us. Enjoy it, because this is going to be a journey. It's not just about creating a quick app in China. This is not created in China.
Well, it's a long term. We've had this vision for nearly 10 years. You had the same vision,
Yeah.
and then all the
We
capabilities, and it's just great to bring it together. And it is going to be a great journey.
It's going to be, and I'm hoping the people who are watching this video are going to join us on the journey, really join us on the journey. We're completely open, we're completely transparent, and because the most important thing is, as Steve, in his day job, being a lawyer, we protected it. And we've got to say, it's important to protect the stuff, because, we don't want to invent something, or Steve doesn't want to spend 10 years of his life developing something, and somebody just, we're just going to copy you. But it's quite difficult to copy as well.
I think it is. I mean, so the AI and the algorithm is really sophisticated. So it works from day one, and that's because it's got a formulaic starting point, but then it sort of learns accurately with inferencing and all kinds of techniques, which really mean that it kind of zooms in on the sweet spot every day.
It is absolutely amazing. I can't say we're going to do some road shows with soon, and we're going to show this. But wherever you are in the world, wherever you watch it, if you want to join our journey and come with us, and some people say we want to be. I'm thinking about something. What we would probably do is we have what we call master installers, and maybe we look out to you guys who are master installers to come and join us and get special training, and we'll give you an additional, you become a master on the AI. But this is, and we can teach you about the AI and show you how to take you guys through a special journey, because we're very supportive, and we look after our customers. But the most important thing, this is something special. This is something really, really special. And I'm not going to name companies, because there's lots of companies here, and lots of people, as I said earlier on, makes lots of little pretty things. But this is real, and this is about money in your pocket.
And we've had it in our field systems for 3 years, running in live systems in South Africa, America, and so on. And it does work, and the whole end-to-end gridless system works, and you can start managing your energy better without having to do anything. But also you can start to leverage all on-site applications. You can start running irrigation systems, running living estates, commercial centres, the whole thing that just gets really, really exciting.
This is going to go through an amazing journey. This is I would say solar battery storage 2. That's
it is. I think it is
solar battery storage 2. It is a revolution. It's not just an add-on. Some people think it's just an add-on to the existing system. This is not.
It's a total vision.
Yeah, it's totally. So thanks for following us. There's going to be more. We'll probably do a bit more of a video on Monday. Monday we'll probably try and do a bit more. We'll do deep dive into it. So at the show now, it's not the right place to do a deep dive. But we were talking and said, well, let's get some of this and let people understand what it's about. So thanks for following. Oh, and one thing I'm going to say. It's bloody raining. It's actually raining here. And somebody said, so Matthew, our CEO, said, I'm not following you anymore because everywhere you go, it rains. Thanks for following us.